I always wanted to do music, but frankly was too scared to. I thought that what you're meant to do should come easily to you. I didn't realize that what you're scared to do is actually the arrow that's pointing you in the direction that you're supposed to, right? So I quit. And it wasn't until I was 24 that my dad got diagnosed with cancer. And he was given 6 months to a year to live, a year and a half if he was lucky. So if I could face that, then I could face an audience. I just dedicated myself to it, and I put out an EP. You know, I got my first sing placement. I was named an iHeartRadio Artist to Watch. Like, I felt like I was getting in the right direction. And I was on stage one day, and I started feeling really tired. Like, I'd been having these fatigue attacks, but I didn't really understand why. I just thought, oh, I must be really tired today. I was on stage, so I just had to push through and sing. And as soon as I got off stage, I collapsed in my friend's arms. Like, I would have to hold on to walls to walk. Like, it just was, I was practically bedridden. And it took doctors about a year to figure out what was wrong. And I have an autoimmune condition and a chronic virus. There was so much inflammation in my body that I couldn't sing. So even if I had the energy to sing, like, my voice didn't sound like me. So I went to one voice teacher, and she believed that I could sing again. And what I didn't realize was that if you break your arm, you know, you put in a cast, the doctors get you better, but you're not back at full use yet. Like, you have to go to physical therapy and do all these exercises, your muscle atrophies. That was what happened to my voice. So that took years for me to recover and feel like I was singing again at my utmost capability at the time. I woke up one morning and realized I was supposed to move to Nashville. The problem was that as I was trying to move, I still wasn't 100% better. I was still getting like fatigue attacks or flare-ups, so it just took some time. It took me a year between deciding to move to Nashville to get here. I'm very spiritual, so I think God knew that if I wasn't in Nashville, I would never find pop music, because I like to be a little bit of a rebel. But doing pop music in Nashville is a bit rebellious, and so it feels like a more natural fit. Pop music has been going through this change in the last few years where it's so emotional and it's so deep and it's so raw. And that just pulled me in. And I really found my own genre in Nashville. And I think I needed to be in Nashville to find that, which is, I think, why I was supposed to be here and why my intuition told me to come here. And so I call my music deep pop, and it's a hybrid of the pop music melodies and production, raw emotional vulnerability that you would traditionally find in folk or singer-songwriter music. It's the experimental, lush sonic landscapes that you typically hear in EDM through the lens of the songwriting craft and lyricism that you typically find in Nashville. So it's this hybrid that feels like me. So Alchemy, the first song is Fool's Gold, second song is Gold. Alchemy is a really ancient tradition of turning metals that are not gold into gold. It's like this process of transformation. So it's like my way to symbolize you can take these things in life that appear to be not gold, right? You can take illness, like your own illness. You can take the loss of a loved one. You could take all the hardships and challenges and trials of life, and you can turn them into something that makes your life more beautiful. You know, Fool's Gold was about an experience I had. It was a relationship I had where it wasn't healthy. I didn't know it at the time, but it wasn't healthy. And someone that I very dearly trusted turned out to be incredibly untrustworthy. If you listen to the lyrics, they're really sad. They're really dark, they're really sad. They're about deception, but you have to really listen for that because the melody is so happy. And that's what I love about that song, is that it has its own form of alchemy. It's this idea of turning something tragic into something uplifting. Gold was inspired by this tradition in Japan where when pottery is broken, instead of throwing it away and calling it a waste or being upset or angry, or any of those very human responses, the pieces are welded back together with gold. And the idea is that it's more beautiful for having been broken, right? And when I read that and learned about that, I just felt like that was my life. I just felt like that was my theme song. And so I made it my theme song. Like I wrote a song about it, and it was a solo write. I wrote it in this room, and it felt like my anthem. Fool's Gold is very much me, but so is gold, right? And by putting them together, I was able to have a larger message than just like this single. We're given situations in our life to turn us into the qualities that God wants us to develop, So sometimes loss teaches us how to love, Sometimes loss teaches us how to be strong. The unhealthy relationships, teach us how to love ourselves. It sounds so soundbitey and it makes it sound so easy, but it's not. I think that healing is not rainbows and puppies and flowers and glitter emojis. It's healing is muddy and crawling and tears and desperation and not knowing how you're going to get through it because you're finding a new paradigm, a new way to live, and that's terrifying. That's really what alchemy is the magical, indescribable, miraculous way that we can change and transform into something better, turning the really hard things in our life into something beautiful. It's that's what the record represents, and that's what I want my life to represent.